Welcome to the January 14th, 2013 Troy City Council meeting. We are pleased this evening to have Pastor A.C. Phipps from Evanswood Church of God, who will provide us with the invocation. And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor, welcome.
Would you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, thank you for this new year, 2013. We ask for your guidance. We ask for your blessing. We ask that you would give this council wisdom in all of their decision making. And I pray these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. The Troy City Council meeting is now called to order. The roll call, Ms. Bittner.
Mayor Slater?
Here.
Councilmember Campbell?
Here.
Councilmember Fleming?
Here.
Councilmember Henderson?
Here.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Here.
Councilmember Pennington?
Here.
Councilmember Teets?
Here. All present. Tonight, we are going to ask Councilman Pennington to return back to the podium for the installation ceremony and the swearing in. This will be a photo op for the family if they want to take advantage.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no carryover items, no public hearings scheduled this evening. So our first order of business is public comment for items on the agenda. And for those citizens that plan to speak at either public comment sections this evening, please review the rules and regulations portion of the agenda, as we will strictly enforce those rules. Our first speaker is resident Dan Brake to speak on 002D. Good evening.
D, right. Good evening. In tonight's agenda at item 002D, you have your legal department's 2012 fourth quarter litigation report. Under item F, miscellaneous cases, item number 10, this report discusses the case Secretary of State versus Troy City Clerk and Troy Elections Commission. I propose the following in the place of the inadequate description that appears there. On November 16th, the Michigan Secretary of State sent a letter to Troy's city attorney telling her that Troy is required to hold an election for mayor on February 26, 2013. In council meeting discussions on November 21 and again on November 26th on this letter, Troy's city attorney instructed you that this letter was only advisory. Temporary Mayor Slater made it clear that he wanted to hold on to the mayor's seat as long as possible without having to face the voters. When Councilman Fleming proposed that the city seek out the advice of the Michigan Attorney General, Troy's city attorney sided with Slater, McGinnis, and Campbell in opposing that course of action. And throughout, Troy's city attorney withheld the information that she had been in numerous phone and email discussions with both Michigan Secretary of State and with Michigan Attorney General over the week prior to receiving the November 16th letter. And in the November 26th meeting, Troy's city attorney withheld from you all the critical second Michigan Secretary of State letter now ordering the city to conduct the election. In a letter to the Michigan Attorney General dated November 27th, Troy City Attorney touches on the real reason for all this obstinacy. She reports that the city publicly communicated the post-recall process back in September, and it was published in many different newspapers and websites. The result of all this was that the Michigan Attorney General filed suit on Friday afternoon, November 30th. In the Free Press article on the December 12th trial reports a dozen lawyers lined the courtroom. Judge Langford Morris immediately agreed with the Michigan Secretary of State that state law requires a special election as soon as possible. The same article reports that you, Mr. Slater, reported feeling vindicated for having faith in our city attorney, while Troy's city attorney is quoted as being very happy the court has provided clarity on this subject. None of us up until that afternoon understood your goal was only vindication and clarity. You had told us all along that you're insisting on a November 2013 election date. After all of this, there's still one outstanding question for all of you council members at this point. Why is Lori Bloom still employed by the city of Troy? Thank you.
Our next speaker is resident Jim Woodpinski to speak on item I-04.
Thank you. Well, belated Happy New Year, Mayor,
Happy New Year.
Council,
Good
city
evening.
staff, residents. I've never been more positive and optimistic than today. The housing is stabilizing a little bit. We had that audit report towards the end of last year, which said the financial situation is a little better than what we expected it was going to be. The last couple of council meetings last year went very smoothly. Y'all showed you could work together and what have you. That was heartwarming. I still think a team building retreat would be good, but you know, you did pretty good so far. So I'm really looking forward to this year being great. Now, to I-4, magnificent resolution. My wife and I, late wife and I, went to the Citizens Academy back in 2004, and I've been watching the council ever since. I've never seen anything like this at this time of year with the city manager putting all these study sessions on here together, saying all the right words and everything to get the city moving forward. I haven't seen that. And like I said, I've been watching the council for that long. So, Mr. Kitchener, you're great. You got my trust. As long as you keep our trust and everything will work fine. Yeah, before things just kind of up in the air. We didn't really come to grips with stuff. People would sit up there and say, yeah, we ought to have a study session about something and everything. Well, I don't have my calendar, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so on and on. But besides his schedule, the memo that goes with it is just fantastic. Talks about team building and stuff, which obviously I'm a big fan of. About finding commonalities between the people and stuff. You know, I'm big on that too. I was up here talking about how one of the trust ladies, Ellen, and I got together and worked out all our issues and stuff, and her friends now and stuff. So that stuff can be done. So I just think that everything should fall into place for us. Looks like Mr. Kitchnick wants to get everybody on the same page. Love that. Some of the stuff in the newspaper here, one of the things I particularly like, where I'm developing a process between the staff and the council to help people, us, feel more comfortable with the budget and have knowledge of the finance and operation of the city, as well as being able to identify areas that could be improved. That's just fantastic. You do that, don't keep us in the, dark like the mushrooms. Let us know what's going on. And then when you want to do a millage, some of us that vote against your millage would vote for it because we would understand it and we would trust that you're doing the right thing. So that's about all I have to say. I look forward to a great year, and thank you all.
Thank you. That concludes the people that have signed up to speak on public comment for items not, or that are on the agenda. Next order of business is City Council, City Administration response to public comment. Are there any comments or City Administration choose to respond?
I'm happy to address any concerns that council has, but just suffice it to say that I disagree with Mr. Brake's characterization.
Thank you. There are no postponed items, so we will move to regular business. First item for regular business is board and committee appointments. This evening, I am going to move the resolution to hereby appoint the following nominated persons to serve on boards and committees. Lawrence Kiesning, at large, term expires 9/30/2016. Alan Kurlick, in district, term expires 9/30/2016. Daniel McLeish, in district, term expires 9/30/2016. Arkin Jonah, in district, term expires 9/30/2016. I did not move Gregory Carnego because we received a resignation letter from him today. So I will make a nomination at the next meeting for that position.
Support? We're going to do two of them, or?
Thank you. Moved by the chair and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming that we hereby appoint the names that were mentioned. Discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is I will hereby move the appointment of the following nominated persons for the Planning Commission. Michael Houston, term expires 12/31/2015. Philip Sanzica, term expires 12/31/2015. And John Tagle, term expires 12/31/2015.
Support.
Moved by the chair and supported by Council Member McGinnis that we hereby appoint the names that were mentioned for the Planning Commission terms. Discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes. Motion passes. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mayor Pro Tem Fleming for the city council appointments.
Thank you, Mayor. Hereby move to appoint Mark Callis to Employee Retirement System Board of Trustees and Retiree Healthcare Benefits Plan and Trust for the term expiring 12/31/2015.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming and supported by Councilwoman McGinnis that we appoint Mark Callis to that position. Discussion? Vote, Ms. Bittner?
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Thank you. Are you prepared for the other nominations, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes. Are you doing the mayoral appointments for the Board of Review? The mayoral nominations under 1, 2B, those are yours, and I do.
Yes,
Okay.
I am going to pass on that this evening.
Okay. Okay. Okay, for city council nominations for the election commission, I nominate two people for the election commission. First one being David Anderson, term expiring January 31st, 2014, and Timothy Dewan, term expiring January the 31st, 2014, for the Election Commission.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming and supported by Councilperson Campbell,
Campbell, yeah.
that we appoint the names that were mentioned for the Election Commission. Discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Motion passes.
In addition, I move to appoint to the Liquor Advisory Committee the following two individuals currently serving who wish to be reappointed. First one being Patrick Hall for the term expiring January 31st, 2016, and second, Andrew Kalsunis, term expiring January 31st, 2016. Nominating these.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming and supported by Councilmember McGinnis that we nominate the two mentioned names for the Liquor Advisory Committee. Discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Okay. Mayor, on the other two, the Municipal Building Authority and the Traffic Committee, I'm going to hold off on those two nominations. I think we have some work to do in those areas, and I'll hopefully be ready by the next meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Give my voice just a couple seconds, if you don't mind. I'm ready. Next item of business is I-3, which is the closed session request for this evening. If somebody would move that resolution forward. Mayor Pro Tem Fleming.
Be it resolved that Troy City Council shall meet in closed session as permitted by MCL 15.268H, MCL 15.243U, and MCL 15.243Y.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming and supported by Councilmember McGinnis that we meet in closed session this evening after the City Council meeting. Discussion? Vote, Ms. Bittner.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item of business is I-4, which is the additional 2013 City Council Special Study Session meeting dates. And I will ask for a resolution, and then we can have some discussion. Councilmember Teetz.
Be it resolved that the City Council shall hold special study session meetings according to the following schedule, 6 p.m. in the council boardroom. And that lists the dates
As printed.
as printed.
Do we have support?
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Teetz and supported by Councilmember McGinnis that we hold special study session meetings as printed in the agenda. Discussion? Councilmember Teetz.
Perhaps the city manager can talk about changing dates, because we've communicated a little bit. So all for it. I think it's fantastic and so forth. However, it's just a question of finding some scheduling. So,
So as we discussed yesterday, Councilmember Teetz and then Mayor Pro Tem Fleming tonight, just briefly for about 15 seconds, I'm more interested in the process and the education and the working together, moving forward together, as was discussed. If we want to move some topics around to different dates, I'm more than willing to do that work and find out what works for everyone's schedule. If we want to lump some together and do blocks, I'm more than willing to do that. I'd be remiss if I didn't caution you that when I went through this process before the holidays, it's a lot to go through when you lump a lot together. But, within reason, we could make some aggregations and make it work for everyone's schedule. I guess I wanted to get it out there, let you know what I was thinking, that we had a game plan going forward for the first 6 months of the year. And two other things, that it was more than just a budget process in March, that we said, here's the budget and let's do the 2 or 3 nights and run through that. This would be sort of a primer leading up to that budget process so we could get some consensus and understand. Secondly, and this was brought up by Mayor Slater and Councilmember McGinnis before the holidays, is how we were going to address the new mayor in May in the educational piece, because they will be voting on the budget with relatively little to no introduction. And Mr. Brake brought that up before the meeting as well. So this is an attempt to bring everybody up to speed together and then go through the process so that all mayoral candidates would know this process and have open and equal access, as would anyone from the public, anyone thinking to run at some other time, or anyone who's just really smart about public finance and wants to help us with some of our decision making.
Thank you. I think
So we don't need action on it tonight, rather than that, if we could have, in concept, agree with it, and then rework the schedule as we discuss.
that sounds good to me. Mayor Pro Tem Fleming, did you want to say something first?
Yes, if I might. I agree with you 100%. We need to do this. This is a process that's very important, and I commend you for putting out a schedule. My only suggestion would be, an input at this point, would be to try to combine these with existing council meetings. Hopefully the agendas are going to be relatively light going forward. Tonight is extremely light. It would work to have one of these meetings tonight, but of course we don't have it scheduled, so that's not possible. But I'm wondering, if we're looking at the dates rather than having 2 meetings in 1 week, if we could possibly look at consolidating these and having them in conjunction with regularly scheduled city council meetings in study sessions following the meetings, would be my only suggestion. And if that doesn't work, I'll try to work my schedule for whatever. But
I think it works in February for sure, as you see some of that. There's opportunity to put it on the back end.
yes, February and March.
My comment is, I support the concept totally. I do understand why we may want to have some of these outside of council meetings, because as nights go on, your attention span gets less and less as we move into the evening. I don't have any problem meeting on nights other than council meetings, but I do want to let city administration know and council that I will be gone for the scheduled February 20th study session on Wednesday. So if that could be moved to another date, I would appreciate that. I will not be at the city council meeting on the 18th of February also. So those are 2 dates that I'm not available, and I don't know if we want to do this at the table tonight or if we want to send our schedules to the city manager. I think we all believe in the concept. It's just whether we can tweak some of the dates. But we do have a resolution on the table for these specific dates, so we do need to do something about that this evening. Councilman Teets.
I think your intuition's correct. Probably not the time to do it now, and we could just send in the dates to the city manager. So I'll just withdraw the resolution. Is that legal?
It would be better to postpone the item, but I do want to do want to contact the city manager and make sure that he understands that we're just going to tweak maybe the dates, but the concept I think we all agree on to spread this about. But do we feel more comfortable postponing this at this point rather than have this etched in stone on these dates then, I would assume? Okay. Councilman Teach, you want to move a resolution to postpone the item?
Move to postpone the item I-4 until the next meeting, which is
January 28th.
January, pardon me?
I think it's January 28th.
January 28th.
Your support for that?
Support.
Moved by Councilman Teets and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming that we postpone I-4 until January 28th. Discussion. Councilmember McGinnis.
So would it be with the understanding that within the next couple of days, we'll provide schedules to the city manager then? Or let him know what dates won't work for certain people? I'm just a little concerned that once we leave the council table,
Right.
is the goal going to be that you're only going to pick dates that all of us can attend? And if so, I want to make sure that that's feasible. So I want to make sure that all of us can send dates that work better or any dates that don't work tomorrow to the city manager. Because the other component of this too, I think, is that we want the public to come along with us and be a part of these discussions if they want to be. Obviously, they'll be on television, I'm assuming, too, so they can participate that way or get the information that way. But as much notice as we can give the public, I think, is also important because they're not expecting these meetings in February. So.
I agree. I guess my concern is I like the format. I've heard some discussion tonight that some council members want to consolidate this with other council meetings, and quite frankly, I like the idea of breaking them out myself. So I think we need to communicate that and also to the city manager, because I like this particular concept where we only listen to 2 topics per session, and if we do it outside of the council meeting, it could be just an hour or so, as opposed to a night that goes to midnight again. So, Councilmember Henderson. Pennington, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm looking the wrong way. I'm sorry.
Brian, in the budget meetings, we are meeting on the odd Mondays when we're not scheduled for council meeting, if I'm not correct. Is there any way we could do that in February also? And just keep it on Mondays?
We could. We would have to consolidate the 2 Wednesdays from February and add them on, which, maybe, and it makes a longer meeting. It's more issues to get through when you're talking about getting through police, fire, public works, recreation. That's a lot in one night, but we can do it, and maybe we can adjust some of those and move them to a different night so it's more of a, well, I don't know, I wanted to have police and fire on the same night, but maybe I could do a little of both, put it that way. Have some on the, after the council meeting that the mayor's talking about, or Mayor Pro Tem's talking about, and then some other Mondays on the odd Monday, do a few as well. So sort of a compromise, if you will, both ways, trying to accommodate all of it, all the schedules and desires. Does that make sense?
Yes. Is that how we've done it in the past? When they met for budget, it's been the odd Mondays when?
No, we've basically in the past had two date study sessions in April. And I think the city manager is trying to prepare us for those particular study sessions. So I guess we are having a lengthy discussion here tonight about the dates, so maybe we should just keep talking about it, and maybe we can come to consensus tonight. I think that might be better. Councilmember Campbell.
Perhaps maybe we should just start with using these dates, and if some of the council members can't make a particular date, just identify which it is. If there's only one person that can't make it, I don't think we should scrap the whole night. Some of these are going to be huge.
I agree.
Some of them are going to be pretty easy to get through, but some of these are going to be huge. And you're right, you don't want to be here at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out the money.
Mayor?
Councilmember Henderson.
Can we get a little discussion about when the petitions are going to be turned in for mayoral candidates, and how does that mesh with this schedule? And would it be appropriate to invite anybody that's running for mayor to come to those specifically?
Well, I think members of the audience can come to any of those study sessions, so they're certainly invited, along with any resident or any citizen that wants to attend the study session. They're open to the public. So they will be there, and in the past, anytime somebody runs for office, they are given all documents the same as any council member when they run for office. So that will happen also. So they will have the same paperwork, and they still will be able to attend any of the study sessions.
Just
Ms. Brenner?
just for information, the withdrawal deadline for the mayor race is February 15th. So you'd have the final list of candidates after 4 o'clock on that day.
So starting on that date forward, they will receive any correspondence that we receive on any item on the agenda. So it's our hope to keep everybody educated and up to speed, and I think another good reason why we should break this up more than it has been in the past. Personally, I don't have any problem with the schedule that was presented tonight. Councilman Teets?
Yes, I can't attend February, and I've passed this on to the city manager as well. I won't be able to attend the February 11th meeting, which discusses fund balance, general fund revenue, police and fire, and then I won't be able to attend the February 25th meeting, which discusses capital and economic development services. I think those are kind of important things, and I prefer to be there. I have about 12 questions just off the top of my head about those issues, so.
I agree. I think we should make an effort to at least have that available to Councilman Teets. Those are very important topics.
Maybe I'll take a stab at this tomorrow, given everyone's schedule, and then send it out in an email to see if it's working, and then get feedback from there, and sort of a work in progress leading up to the next meeting.
Okay. Any further discussion on the postponement? Vote, Ms. Bittner.
Councilmember Teets?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next order of business is I-5, appointment of the SACRA alternate. If somebody will move the resolution.
Mayor,
Councilmember McGinnis.
resolve that Troy City Council hereby designates Mark F. Miller as the alternate SACRA representative with the term expiring on June 30th, 2013.
Support.
Are we working on that phone back there? Thank you. Moved by Councilmember McGinnis and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming that we hereby designate Mark Miller as the alternate to SACRA representative, term expiring June 30th, 2013. Discussion? Vote, Ms. Bittner.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teets?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item of business is I-6, delegation of fireworks inspections. Somebody like to move the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Sure. Resolved that the delegation of authority by the state of Michigan to the City of Troy Fire Department to conduct fireworks inspections and the subsequent signing of the agreement by the fire chief is hereby approved as recommended by city management. A copy of the delegation agreement shall be attached to the original minutes of this meeting.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming and supported by Councilmember McGinnis Discussion?
Mayor?
Councilmember McGinnis.
I just thought, seeing this on the agenda, it might be an appropriate time. I know back in July, after the 4th of July, we had some concerns about the state law and the effects that it was having on the community, and I know that all council members have been receiving emails, even still, following up to see where we're at on that. I asked City Attorney Bloom to just print me up a copy so I could reference the date, and on July 23rd, the City Council on July 23rd, there was a resolution that was proposed, and the council passed it, and it articulated the concerns that we had with the new law, and we sent it off to our representatives for feedback. And I was wondering if City Attorney Bloom could just provide us with a brief update, and based on that update, if anyone else on the council thinks that this is an appropriate time to open up the discussion again, or decide to do something different than the direction we originally agreed to go in.
City Attorney Bloom.
Yes, this is, as you know, the fireworks law was changed by the state of Michigan. And since that time, they did appoint a committee to try and work out some of the issues that there were with it. The committee has not made any progress so far, but we do have a new legislative session, so it is very possible that changes will be made. However, the council may wish to give us direction to send something new. I know other communities are sending them, and I know some of the council members are getting some emails and some citizen concerns about the fireworks ordinance. So if the majority of council wishes to address that, we can certainly bring that back at a subsequent meeting, whether it be an ordinance or another resolution, or whether we wait for a little bit and see if the Michigan legislature has made any progress with their committee in trying to work out some of the bugs.
Further discussion? Councilmember Henderson.
Yeah, I had sent up an email on this item, and Attorney Bloom answered my questions, but I think it's important that maybe this is at least verbalized here. In the event that our fire department goes in and does an inspection outside of the city of Troy, which is what I assume this is going to allow, and everything is great, the next day this facility blows up or has some sort of catastrophic event, after we've given it the thumbs up, what sort of liabilities are there on the city of Troy because we've done an appropriate and positive inspection? So maybe if Attorney Bloom could address that for us.
City Attorney Bloom.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yes, the agreement says that the City of Troy representatives, first of all, they're going to be trained by the state of Michigan. They're going to be following the state of Michigan's protocol. So the state of Michigan is assuming liability if there's a negligence in their actions. The building owners and also the fireworks distributors will also have insurance coverage as well. So in the event that there is a very unfortunate event, there would be some insurance coverage there. To the extent that our individual inspectors make an error, there could be liability if there were gross negligence, but gross negligence is a very high standard. Otherwise, we have governmental immunity. If changes are made the next day that, occur after our inspection, that's not going to impose greater liability on the city of Troy.
Further discussion? I guess my only comment to that is we routinely do things out of the city in conjunction with other cities and fire departments and police departments. So this is not unique in that regard. I don't look at that as a big deal, personally.
Mayor, do you have something?
Councilman Teets? Further discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner? Up. Councilmember McGinnis.
I'm not hearing that there's a consensus to do anything on it now, so I'll just follow up with the city attorney. I'm sure we'll get additional emails and we can give the state a little bit more time to respond. But I don't want to see us in the same situation that we were in last year, where everything kind of came down and there was a lot of public outcry from the community, and we really didn't have the time frame to do something. So if this ultimately leads us to looking at an ordinance amendment, I'd like to make sure that we factor in enough time to have the city attorney work on it, bring it back to us, and then obviously let everyone in the community know that there are going to be changes that might be specific to Troy. So I will take on the responsibility of hounding City Attorney Bloom about this more.
From my perspective, I support that. I was at the mayor's dinner a couple months ago, and all of the mayors in South Oakland County are concerned about this same ordinance, and they are doing things on behalf of their city as well. So I think everybody's watching the legislation right now and making sure that they do their job. They messed this up to begin with, and it's their job to correct this problem and make it good again. So I think we do need to stay on top of it, though. The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone from council wish to pull a consent item? Hearing none, does somebody want to move the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Resolved that Troy City Council hereby approves all items on the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming and supported by Councilmember McGinnis that we approve all items on the consent agenda. Discussion. Vote, Ms. Bittner?
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Motion passes. Anybody that was here for the consent agenda, everything passed. So, next item of business is memorandums and future council agenda items. I noticed K1, there's an announcement for a public hearing. And K2, a memorandum submitted by require consideration at future point. There were no other ones. Next item on the agenda is public comment for items not on the agenda. Our first resident speaker is Dan Brake.
Hi again.
Good evening.
Many of us in the community are now wondering when it is that the city and our city attorney will be apologizing to former Mayor Daniels for giving false information to 59,000 Troy voters back in September. Remember, you told us that there would be no special election if we voted for the recall? There is nothing in that September statement to council and to voters about any lack of clarity. Of the 40,000 votes cast on recall, if only 865 had not been persuaded by your misdirection, or was it simply a lie, then Janice Daniels would still be Troy's mayor today. Shame on you. Changing subjects. You're discussing already the future city budget. Tonight's agenda offers special meeting dates, et cetera, to begin that process. Your city manager's schedule suggests that you will be taking up the concern of how to deal with the surplus that the city accumulated through fiscal year 2012. That's the year ended last June 30th. We heard here last month that the city ended that period by accruing a surplus of more than $6 million because of higher than forecast revenue and approximately equally lower than forecast spending. Of course, this is exactly the outcome that many of us, including former Mayor Daniels, insisted was going to be the case back during the days of our dispute over your new library property tax a year and a half ago. Remember, Mr. Slater, you and Robin Beltramini and Mary Kerwin and Maureen McGinnis insisted that you would close our library by the end of the week. in August of 2011 if we did not pass your special library property tax on Tuesday. That was August of 2011, less than a year and a half ago. And now we learn finally, when you have to issue an audited statement, there was a surplus of $6 million for that very same first year that our library would have been closed for lack of money. If this outcome were to occur in the business world, it would be viewed as fraud, pure and simple. You took that tax from voter taxpayers through the misapprehension that their library would be closed because you didn't have the money. I urge all of you on council to insist that taxpayers get a tax reduction equal to the now truly unneeded special library tax as the very first item on your New Year's budget. Thank you.
Next speaker is resident Marv Reinhardt.
Thank you, Mayor Slater. In this book is every phone number of the state representatives and our senators, our U.S. representatives, our senators, in surrounding cities, the council people, and I keep them appraised of what Troy, Michigan is making a mockery of the state of Michigan. Also, I like to bring up the fact that the home of the Rotary, which is Bank America, was fined $3.6 billion for their mistakes. That's a member of the Troy Chamber of Commerce. Then we got Flagstar. They got fined over $1 billion for stealing people's money. Another Troy Chamber of Commerce member. Now, as we know, if you're in a car and you get picked up and one person in the car has something wrong with them, everybody's in the car is wrong. So I figure every member of the Troy Chamber is exactly like Bank of America and Flagstar. And you know the Flagstar people who went over the shore, they didn't get fired, they just went over the shore, which used to be Shore Mortgage. Also, it's okay for certain people in this city to plan to plant bombs in this city, then they put it right on Facebook. It's okay. If I say something a little bit bad, you got the boys in blue on me, okay? But it's okay that other people across the United States read this stuff, but it's okay to put bombs in Troy, Michigan. And also about my union brothers up at the Troy Transit Center, I call them on a continual basis and ask them, when you guys going to show up in this city? I've already been picked up a couple of times. So they're planning a little visit to the city. Now, back in '87, when the Poletown plant was built with scab labor, we went down there and knocked down every brick. And then we went down to Orient plant and knocked down every brick. So just because you got that building built doesn't mean it's built, okay? So just make sure who you got building that thing. And then also, a couple weeks ago, I noticed that you're going to cut down 10 acres of trees in this city. And I know one of our council people has got to be always harassed by these people from Trust. Save our trees. I went down to that site. I didn't see none of those people up in the trees trying to save those trees. And Troy is what? A U.S. Troy Arbor City. A tree, we get an award every year for having trees. Hey, excuse me. Hey, I'm trying to talk to the mayor. The only people I can talk to is the mayor.
Speak to me, please.
Right.
I'm listening.
Right. I know you can multitask because if Irwin can do it, I know you can do it. And also, there's a T. McGee out there that doesn't seem to understand how to do the Troy website. If you got a problem in this city, you're supposed to call the head of the department. Don't bother your...
Time's up. Thank you.
I didn't hear it ding.
It dinged.
Okay, just remember that. You know, I'm always keeping my eye on you, buddy.
Our next speaker is Roger Walters, Troy resident. You can speak now, Mr. Walters, please. I'm calling you now. Come on up, or I'm going to pass you.
Ms. Bloom, you're the one.
Speak to
I was
Council
speaking.
Chambers, please.
Shut up, would you? And let me talk instead of running your mouth. I'd like to talk first.
Point of order. You're out.
That's fine.
Good night.
There. That's for your case, huh?
Next speaker is Richard Peters, Troy resident. Good evening.
Mayor, council, folks, people of Troy. I'm just going to clear this out a little bit for what I believe is under attack is our democracy. The history of this country is sadly marked by gun violence in a negative way, from Alexander Hamilton, Andy Jackson, Wyatt Earp, Al Capone, and more recently to firemen, law enforcement, sadly our politicians, and lately school children. I was struck by the fact that in some of our cities there's been more violence and more death than actually in some of our foreign incursions. And I think now that it's time for our Congress to, I know that when they're prodded it's time for action. And I believe now is a time for action to let some of our brightest minds live and let some of our idealists for the future. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about, like Marvin was talking about this tree business here. Those trees, now, from my house, there was some frogs. We used to have frogs down there. And I know frogs are an endangered species, and sadly, at that time, they put a subdivision in, but right down from them, there was also a subdivision put in, and they managed to maintain the trees with the subdivision. They worked it together. And the lot I was looking at was over by DeQuinder, and I kind of thought that maybe somehow that got mixed up because, you know, as I alluded to before, a lot of these domestic trees, you know, were here long before this European invasion of lawns and things like that. And, you know, personally, I think you should, you know, I don't want to carry on too long, but that's kind of where the direction I was going with that. So I guess that's pretty much the gist of my message, and hope you all do, you know, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Sandra Miller, Troy resident.
I'm the top petitioner in the state of Michigan. I'm the top female professional petitioner in the country. I travel all over the country. I do petitions at home. I represent the state of Michigan. I value honesty. I have morals and values in life. Those are my best qualities. It's a shame that when you hired the director of the library, you did not hire someone who has ran a library in the past. That was a very large-scale library, and now it's a small-scale library. When I went to college, I learned business law. I learned the difference between private property and public property, and for some reason, the director apparently of the library has not gone to college. She doesn't know the difference between public and private. I've been doing petitions since 2004. I've never had a problem doing petitions at the library. That used to be my top location. The people in the city of Troy, they signed the petitions the best. Warren signed second. I have a whole list. But for a director to sit there and say that the city attorney emailed her stating that you have to stand 500 feet in front of the front door, and when the Troy police came out, they laughed. You wasted their time. And I just got done talking to another city attorney, a male, and he told me there isn't anything on the books about how far you have to stand from the front door. I can have the ACLU contact the city of Troy and let you know how you violated my civil rights, telling me that I have to sit at the bench, I can't walk across the sidewalk and approach someone and ask them to sign a simple petition. I can't stand in the center with the table because I'm blocking the entrance of the library. I've tried to do petitions at the community center and was told I was not allowed to do petitions at the community center. That was a few years ago. And they contacted the person that's in charge of the building, the city attorney. The city attorney threatened to put a whole list of criminal charges on me, from trespassing, loitering, what's the other one? Disturbing the peace. And I told the city manager at the time that you have an attorney that does not understand law. Why would you threaten to put criminal charges on someone just basically standing there doing a petition? Those are violating my civil rights. It's really hard to believe that happens in the city of Troy. And as far as the library, it's a shame you didn't hire someone that knows how to run a library. Every time I spoke with the director about various things in the library, all she does is complain about how she doesn't have the money to run the library. I say hire someone that can run the library on the money they have, which is what, 2.9 million? That's a lot of money. Okay? And the quality of the library has gone down. The attendance is not there. I skimmed a little bit over how the director said that they do receive revenue from the vending machines.
Thank you. Your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Jim Werpetinsky, Troy resident.
Oh, yes. Why do I bother? Well, my euphoria didn't last very long for a variety of reasons, including the discussion on the dates for the I-4 thing. I've seen that movie several times in the last 9 years. It really distresses me. I hope you stay on these people to get them to set some darn dates. It's important. You people need to get this done. You mess around too long, pretty soon, then you get close to the budget. Oh, now we can't have that study because now we're doing budgets and stuff. I've seen this movie. I don't want to see it again. You know, in the real world, back when I had meetings and stuff, they're supposed to start at 8 o'clock. If people didn't get there, I started the meeting. I didn't wait for them. If I scheduled a meeting for a day, I got tired of this stuff. Oh, I can't make it. This is when the meeting is. If you make it, you get there, you get the information. If you're not there, you're out of luck. I suggest you do that. Also, we film all this stuff. People, they miss the meeting, one of you, watch them film stuff. I'm sorry, but my patience is running thin. Anyway, the reason I want to speak here was I want to remind the residents that on Thursday this week, 17th, the public meeting, the Parks and Rec 5-year plan. And it's the 17th, Thursday, 6:30, the Troy Community Center in room 402. And I'd like to ask all the dog owners to attend that meeting so that they can put in their plug for getting a dog park, because I think we really need that. And the city is graying now, so we have all kinds of soccer fields and stuff. We're going to have more old people and less young people. We don't need more soccer fields and stuff. We need some things like maybe a skating park, a dog park. They say dogs are therapeutic for people, particularly older people. So we're going to have more older people. Well, we're going to have more dogs and stuff, more need for a dog park. So I really think we want to do that. Plus, one other thing, I've read some articles now where people, when they're going to move to a location, besides wanting to know if they have a library and things like that, they're also asking now, do they have a dog park? It's getting that popular. So I think you ought to do that. But anyway, residents, please show up on the 17th, 6:30, Troy Community Center, room 402. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Manish Baxi, Troy resident.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. The main issue that I have is either we have a very incompetent city attorney or willfully negligent. Let me give you the facts. In January of 2012, I read out a resolution relating to Troy Transit Center. And I don't have the time to go into that in detail, but here is one of the portions which was very important. It says here, whereas at the same city council meeting, council members Slater and Fleming introduced to the public a letter stating that the Troy Chamber of Commerce would pay all operating and maintenance costs associated with the Troy Transit Center for the life of this project. And right afterwards, then Mayor Daniels specifically asked City Attorney Bloom to draft a contract, and she obviously did not do that, stating that we had to wait until March of 2012 for the chamber to give numbers to work with. Well, this is January 2013. Since then, the city manager is no longer there, the one who was. We also don't have Michelle Hodges, who was very excited about supporting the project. So my question is, after so many months, how can we have confidence in City Attorney Bloom to actually follow through what she is supposed to do, which is safeguard the interests of the taxpayers? And in this case, there is no actual agreement, written contract, which would prevent the taxpayers to be on the hook. I do admit that, personally, this is not a place which I would like to say that the taxpayers have to be held accountable. Please hold City Attorney Bloom accountable. Thank you.
Next speaker is James Savage, City of Troy resident. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. I'm looking at there's a very nice picture of our city manager and his assistant and Cindy Stewart. But anyhow, what I'm going to read out is take part in shaping cities, parks, and a recreation plan. Well, I got quite a few comments on that. And I'm wondering if it's kind of a joke. 750 people responded so far to the survey. 6 years ago, hundreds of people responded to a survey for the Troy Futures Vision 20 plan. Now, in the last year, we couldn't even get 7 of our most esteemed citizens to agree on hardly anything. So how can we get hundreds of people to agree on what's best for Troy? Over the years, I've attended meetings and forums on public transportation, highways, parks and rec, and what happened? The governing body spends the money on what they want. The Troy Futures Plan study, for example, and I want to read a little from this. And it's in the preface. Members of the 7 task forces came together to meet, brainstorm, study, and deliberate on their specific topics: civic infrastructure, image and feel, lifestyles, lifetime learning, mobility, regionalism, and wealth creation were the 7 task force committees. The year-long effort resulted in a report from each committee, which was then compiled into this final report to go put Troy through till the year 2020. Now, nowhere in that report, in the final mention, was the need or the desire for a transit center. So did nobody and all those people want it? Or for the $2 million Big Beaver beautification program? Parks and Rec. A few years ago, I attended a forum on bike paths and walking trails in the community center. The discussion turned to constructing a bike path from Rochester to Detroit. In this year, 2013, the city of tomorrow does not even have safe pedestrian access to and from elementary schools. The question now is not what we as individuals want, but what we as a community need and can afford. Can I ask the council if I could go on for another minute?
Your time's up this time, Mr. Savage.
I'm
sorry.
asking as a request. Could we put that to the council?
The rules are 3 minutes, Mr. Savage. Unless somebody wants to do that, we'll see you next 2 weeks, thank you. Our next speaker is resident Shual Ulian.
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry, I think they had the last name on the first name side, so welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Olian Shuai. My English nickname is Ellen. My issue is the Troy Police Department.
Move the microphone close to you, please.
My issue is to report Troy Police Department has been abusing their power to cover Chu Bully or Jisaka various continuous harassment crimes. And I have been the sufferer for almost 7 years on days and nights without the deserved human rights, freedom, privacy. My marriage and my little son's family has been harassed, destroyed to break down, and my working rights for surviving has been deprived for many years. But I was still arrested by Troy Police Department, and the Troy Police Department deprived my human rights, freedom to report, disclose crimes, and create illegal bond, and try to use illegal bond to put me into jail. So here, I come over here to beg all of you righteousness to hold up the justice on my case issue. And my case, the view court hearing will be held tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. I'm very concerned the judge, William E. Bowley, was misread, cheated by Troy Police Department. And actually, last December, maybe about 29th, I emailed my case situation to all city members. And on January 2nd, I intentionally, personally, sent my case-related documents packaged in envelope to mayor, to city manager, to city attorney, because in case my Troy Police mother cheated, misled. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Nicholas Chiricero, Troy resident.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My remarks tonight will be concerning the city attorney. One of Troy's citizens, Ed Kempen, had a petition for a 55-hour-a-week library, which was denied due process according to our whimsical charter as interpreted by our city attorney. Why did she not complete a contract between the Chamber of Commerce and the city covering the operations and maintenance costs of the transit center? Now that Michelle Hodgins is gone, it looks like the city will bear all the costs. She also advised the city that it was safe to move forward on the transit center, even though, as we sit here today, we still do not have clear title to that land. I have no confidence in her judgment to do the job based on my remarks in the past, back in December. I have no confidence in her performance on the job based on my remarks tonight. It's time for her to resign. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Michael Ross, Troy resident.
Good evening, Mayor Slater and members of the Troy City Council. Litigation was the focus tonight for me, and last month when I was here, I brought up the issue of the city attorney, that I thought that maybe the time was ripe right now for us to let her go and to hire a municipal law firm, because we're dealing with high-stake matters here in our city, and I think we need a higher level of skill than we now have. We're paying her about $200,000 annually for her remuneration package, as I understand it, you know, give or take $10,000. And Anyway, you did express a lot of confidence in her ability, but I see a track record of offering us risky legal counsel, forgoing due diligence, withholding information from the voters, and gambling with the reputation and integrity of our city. And there are three vital issues. One just got mentioned by Mr. Chericero regarding the property on which the transit project is being built. We haven't proven yet that the city owns that property yet, and then we're committing resources to build upon it. That's not a good way to be building up a city. I think that's really bad business. But she advised us to go ahead and do that, because the issue was brought up, as one of the fellows started to mention, that there was a concern that we didn't definitely have title to the land, but that we were going forward, and she expressed confidence that, okay, we'll win that contest in court. And I don't think that's good business sense to be referring everything to a fight in court. You know, can't we just talk to each other and agree on things? I think that's better for business in our community. The other issue was, of course, related to what happened in the election matter. She opted not to use due diligence and find out in advance with a simple phone call to the director of elections, what do we do if the voters decide to go for a recall of the mayor? So instead, she opted not to do that, and she waited until the last minute, and then the state came in and says, look, you got to hold an election in February, and she decided to hold off still and not advise us to go ahead and plan for that. So ultimately, we got a lawsuit out of that with 11 attorneys in there, and I hope they're not all sending bills to the city. And we're going to get a special election, which she estimated would cost $100,000. At least that's what she said to the judge in court. And so I'm a citizen here, and I'm looking at, oh my God. And now the next thing that's coming up is the matter of the default on the bonds to the Downtown Development Authority. And we're facing a lawsuit of $14 million to the city. And she's going to be advising us how to proceed on that. And we could get egg on our face again. We already got a national image that we're starting to go downhill on, and I'm really concerned about that. And Mr. Slater, you expressed confidence in her. I hope you'll do the right thing and let her go, please. Thank you.
That concludes the people who have signed up for the public comment. I'm going to take a 5-minute recess. We're going to recess for 5 minutes. Before we go any further, I'm going to ask to suspend the rules. I'd like to revisit an item that was on the agenda earlier.
Support that.
Moved by the chair and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming that we suspend the rules. The reason I want to suspend the rules, and I want to revisit I-2 for the nomination for Board of Review. Any other discussion? Vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Motion passes. I'd like to recall I-2, the mayoral nomination, and move forward the following nominated person to serve on the boards and committees as indicated for the Board of Review, and I will nominate James Hatch.
I'll support that for term expiring January 31st, 2016.
Moved by the chair and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Fleming that we forward the name James Hatch for the term to expire 1/31/2016 for Board of Review. Discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember McGinnis?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fleming?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, council referrals. There are none. So we move forward to council comments. Are there any council comments tonight? Councilman Teetz.
Yes. I had a question about the petitioning process in front of the library and just wanted to know if our city attorney could address that, or what the process has been.
Mayor?
City Attorney Bloom.
Yeah, thank you. I was not sure what the resident was referencing. However, I know that we do have some rules. Certainly, when you're gathering petitions, you cannot block the egress or into the library and to any of our public buildings. Additionally, there's no right to collect signatures inside. We have specific rules for each of our facilities that prohibit you from petitioning inside the buildings so that we can make sure that the business at City Hall, at the community center, and at the library is conducted. So those are some of the items. I am not certain, again, of the circumstances. If an individual was harassing persons, was blocking the egress, was aggressive, abusive, it is possible that that person was told that there are some consequences from that type of behavior.
Yep, that was my only question. Just wondering if there had been a change in policy or anything like that, and there hasn't. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Pennington.
Yeah, Pennington, thank you. Lori, I had a question in regards to the holding title to the land for the transit center. We're just in the process of that, and that's pretty much a done deal?
Mayor?
City Attorney Bloom.
Yes, we do hold the title to that property. There is a lawsuit that is pending in the Court of Appeals. However, we were successful at the circuit court, so nothing has changed. So we do have title to that property, and we expect that at the conclusion of this, that we will continue to hold the property to the transit center. However, there is a pending appeal out there.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Next item on the agenda are reports. Any council member want to discuss any of the reports that were furnished this evening? We have no study session scheduled tonight. There is a closed session after the meeting. We will recess for 4 minutes in the boardroom for closed session.